Gran Turismo series has been one of the most prolific game franchises over the last decade. It has helped drive sales of each new PlayStation platform and has made its creator, Kazunori Yamauchi, an international superstar, both in the gaming and auto industries. This past fall, we had a chance to work with Kazunori and his team at Polyphony Digital in Japan to film a documentary on the Gran Turismo franchise. And they not only designed GT, they've also created the interface with the first ever multifunctional meter on the brand new Nissan GTR. We're sure that by now, Kazunori has added a GTR to his collection. But if you were to ask him what his favorite car is, it's likely he'd say the Ford GT.
まず物の形として、僕が自動車の歴史上一番気に入っている形だっていうのが何しろ一番大きな理由で。
As good as Gran Turismo is, it's still a simulator. So we've opted to play a game of Gran Turismo for real with two of Kazunori's own, the Nissan GTR and the Ford GT. Let's compare the vitals. The Ford has the GTR beat on displacement, horsepower, torque, top speed, and weight. But Nissan has equipped the GTR with the latest in dual-clutch technology and the first ever trans-axle all-wheel drive system versus the GT's classic manual transmission and rear-wheel drive. The WebRidesTV.com Superlap was designed to put each vehicle under a variety of performance challenges. After crossing the start-finish line, the driver navigates through high-speed lateral transitions. Then he must clear the cones in the slalom section, which involves heavy braking to bring the vehicle into proper speed and managing the throttle through the cones. The vehicle is then forced into a tight, decreasing radius turn at the halfway point, where speeds drop as low as 12 miles an hour. Then it's onto the back straight, accelerating under full throttle, speeds reaching triple digits. At the end of the straight, the vehicle comes into its heaviest braking zone, reaching above 1.15 Gs of deceleration. Then it's into the final turnaround and on to the start-finish line. Here's Craig's fastest lap in the Ford GT. Let's start the clock.
Into the sweeper, second gear, easy. There we go, better. Here we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Breaking into a slalom. You don't overshoot this first gear turn. Let it roll around the corner. Unwind the wheel. Perfect. Felt like a drifter there. Unwind the wheel really quick. 6,500 in third gear into the threshold braking area. Oh yeah, this is a good one.
The Ford finished with a time of 42.83. And now here's the best lap in the GTR. Start the clock.
Good shifts. Got to brake into this turn nice and smooth. Let it rotate. Accelerate hard. Right into the slalom. Nice and smooth. Got to really navigate the slalom. Good steering. Acceleration. It's good. Right into the decreasing radius. Nice and early braking so I can accelerate out of there. Good. Accelerate. This is top speed run here. Head up to the cone for emergency braking. Threshold braking. Nice and smooth. I'm going to make my way around the corner. I'm going to accelerate.
The GTR finishes with a time of 43.04, just 0.2 behind the Ford. Let's take a closer look at the laps side by side and see how they compare. The Ford is already able to pull 0.2 ahead of the GTR through the first high-speed transition. Into the third transition, and the Ford extends its lead to more than 0.3 of a second over the GTR. The Ford has its biggest lead through the slalom at almost half a second. But here at the fourth cone, it takes a wide turn, and the GTR with an inside line begins to chip away at the gap. The GTR is able to brake later into the turnaround, and as a result cuts the lead in half to only 0.2 of a second. Out of the turn, the Ford pulls away, but at their max speed on the back straightaway, the GTR clips the lead down to a little over 1.5 tenths behind the Ford. The superb braking into the last turnaround allows the GTR to gain even more ground on the Ford. The lead is now down to 0.1 of a second. The Ford launches toward the finish line and comes in 0.2 ahead of the GTR.
We learned a lot here today with both vehicles, the Ford GT and the GTR. The Ford GT actually, if I were to build a race car, the motor would be right in the middle. It would have race suspension, it would be light, it would be aero like the Ford GT. But the new technology with the GTR is just a little bit different. They have a little bit different idea. And we learned a lot, meaning that the old school was classic, but maybe the new school is something that we needed to pay attention to. So if I had to drive one of these home tonight, it'd be the GTR, just because it's new technology and I like it. I like the way it sits, I like the way it sounds, I like the way it drives. But today, Kazunari, by the numbers, your favorite car is still on top. I'm Craig Stanton for Web Rides TV. See you next time.